Hey Thomas, how are you today?
Jonathan, I'm doing fantastic. And how are you doing, my friend?
Doing great, doing great.
All right. So
All
now
right.
we know who the vice president pick is. Senator J.D. Vance, 39 years old. I'm
Yeah.
not happy with this pick. You know what? And I'm going to tell you why I'm not happy with it. Yeah, you know me. I'm like a farmer. I like to dig and find out what the problem is with the crop is. I just don't want to pick the leaf off and say, "Hey, it's okay with the crop." I want to dig to the root and cure the problem. So I dug a little bit rootier here. First off, I can understand possibly why Trump picked him. He's 39 years old. Um, Not trying to, cast a cloud here. The gentleman's married, seems to be with a lovely wife, who is Indian and Hindu. That can help bring that branch of nationality, which is usually Democratic, those people, the Indian people. Maybe that'll bring some of the voters over. That could be looking at it that way. But let me just share with you why I'm not happy with it. Anytime I see Harvard or Yale graduates right now, anybody is an elected position or a judicial position, it's just brought a lot of bad taste to the country over the last 20 years or more. It just seems to be like an inside like ticket to get into government. And it's kind of like the deep state. That's what worries me. Now, let's go back to 2016. JD Vance was actually in Ohio working for a small law firm, and he got a job offer to go to San Francisco and work for Peter Thiel. If anybody knows about Peter Thiel is one of the founders of PayPal. And I strongly suggest people to go to YouTube and watch a thing called the PayPal Mafia. All right. Um, don't worry, there's no murders or killings. All right. Nothing like you're going to see like with the Italian mob, but it's very interestingly done. And all these people like Reid Hoffman, Elon Musk, we know where they are today, but they all started with PayPal. All right. So he went to go work for Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, very smart guy. He's 56 years old, Stanford graduate, went to Stanford Law School. And he actually, it was like basically, I think in 2003, there was a company that was called Palantir. All right. It comes from a J.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. It's a term of communication, but it turned into a company. Well, that company was actually funded by QTEL. All right, the letter Q dash tel, TEL. Well, QTEL is the venture capitalist arm in the private sector, and who controls it? The CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Very interesting. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? All
Yeah.
right. Um, Now, what does the company Palantir do? Well, they're a data mining company for government agencies. Okay. Now, we all heard the term, or maybe you haven't, called NGO, non-government organizations, but they're funded by the government. These like NGOs was set up so they could do the things government agencies couldn't do, listening on phone calls, test out technology on the private sector, whatever it may be. They did the dirty work. That's what it came down to. So fingers couldn't be pointed. So Palantir actually is a data mining company that's also into artificial intelligence, and they know everything about every single American, even more so than you think. All right. And it's getting deeper and deeper. So
Mm.
JD Vance goes to work for the venture capital side of Peter Thiel's company. All right. And it wasn't Palantir he went to go work for, but it's his capital side of venture capital. So towards the end of 2016, Peter Thiel goes to Mar-a-Lago, all right, and he meets with Trump after the election. He has J.D. Vance with him, all right, and J.D. Vance gets to meet Trump for the first time, all right, and it's a very interesting story. I'd love to be a fly on the wall with everything. So J.D. Vance he stays with the company for 2 years. He leaves in 2018. He's thinking about running for a political position. Well, Peter Thiel has given J.D. Vance the most money that any candidate has ever gotten running for the U.S. Senate. He gave him $15 million.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of odd? Yeah, wow's right. These are things people should like, antennas go up, that's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah,
Um, you got to start digging deep. All right. And I haven't even taken a magnifying glass to this yet. I look at things, I dig a little bit, look on the landscape. I'm like, it
yeah,
looks like shit, smells like shit. It's probably shit. That's what you got to
yeah,
worry about. I could be totally wrong, could be wrong, but you know what? This is my instincts going off. I'm not happy with the pick. Um, is
yeah,
it possible? Is it possible that they could have said to Trump, "Okay, we want somebody from our establishment. Let it be Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tim Scott, and maybe who knows? Maybe the guy, the North Dakota governor Bergman, he was never really the choice. It was just to talk about it. But I don't know. It scares me. I mean, basically, some of the stuff I shared with you so far, and you didn't know any of this, what I just shared with you, okay?
yeah. You have to
Um,
dig deep,
yeah,
like you
I mean,
said.
I did share the company with you,
Yep,
Planeteer, before we spoke. I sent you text information wise on it. And I
yep.
actually, before we started, do you know anything about it? You said no. So I said, all right. Now what I've shared with you for the first time, like our audience, what do you think, Jonathan?
I mean, it's something you have to dig deep and see really what it is, how it's going to influence, if anything, Trump or any of the decision making that he may do. But honestly, I never really felt like whoever he picks, it's important. But Trump doesn't need, like, his card is Trump. Everything's Trump, right? So I always felt Trump's, like, if you watch last night, he came out. It was probably the best possible way that he could have came out. The way he walked out, the way he looked. If you watched on Fox, you watched on CNN, you watched anywhere, everyone was just like, speechless because it looked good. Everything looked good. The speakers he had were good. And when
But
CNN,
know what looked good with Trump as you're talking about that?
what's that?
That big patch of whiteness on his ear stood out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's impressive, right?
Okay.
You get shot and you're there, less than 2 days later, you're on stage again. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a huge statement. I think he did very, very well for himself just by walking in there and looking good, and uh,
Oh,
people
without a
people loved
doubt.
it.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
I mean,
Without a doubt.
I've never ever seen in what 8 years, I've never seen anything good said about Trump on CNN ever, right? So the fact
Mhm.
that they were all like in awe, like just watching, like, oh my God, like everything is just working. The speakers are working, his presence is working, people are chanting, USA. So when CNN is saying a bunch of great things about him, he's doing something right. So, they talked
Mhm.
about the BP pick a little bit, but it was all just about him being there, the presence, thank God he didn't get killed and he's still there. And I think it's a good position right now for him.
Listen, like I said in the past, and you touched upon it now, this is Trump's ticket. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not a VP ticket. It's Trump's ticket. Win or lose, it's Trump's ticket. I mentioned that when we were talking yesterday.
Yep.
But the VP pick does concern me because of what I shared with you. Is it going to have a lot to play with? Not in getting elected, but once you're in, your foot's in the White House. Um, it's just we know the deep state is there. This,
Yeah.
as Trump used to say in 2015 when he announced it, we got to drain the swamp, drain the swamp. Well, you know what? That swamp's gotten bigger and bigger, and it's you can't just say, "Hey, we're gonna get rid of these people in the swamp," but these other people there to take over. That's what worries me. And we've spoken about artificial intelligence in the past on one of our episodes or a couple of our episodes, and listen, it's coming. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But it's Big Brother is beyond watching us. They're pretty much they're like going to be our own personal proctologists. That's what it's going to be for every single American. They're going to be so far up our ass.
What I thought was pretty, good for Trump at least is you started seeing some people come on Trump's side, like big people, like Elon Musk finally said that he is backing Trump. I saw a post by Roger Clemens. He was he had a really good Roger Clemens, the pitcher.
Of course, I
Um,
know Roger Clemens. I'm a Red Sox fan.
so he himself was. I mean, listen, he's not Elon Musk, but he has a lot of pull as well. I mean, so people are coming out and starting to feel comfortable siding with Trump right now. So I think that's I saw Jeff Bezos said like, thankfully everything's good and he didn't get killed, obviously. So the fact that people are, being people and having, warmth and, concern is something that sometimes you never saw with Trump. So I think
Hmm.
again, I think this is Trump's ticket. This is Trump's time. Hopefully he could keep it, the right way, and hopefully this experience, this tragedy that happened, helps him figure out a new way of being.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to add to what you're saying. He pretty much it's his to screw up from this point forward. That's what it's going to come down to from now till election day. But
Yeah,
um, I expect Thursday night's speech to be a historic and probably one of the best speeches ever given by any American, leader. Okay. I expect that. I think it's going to be a speech of uniting the country. I don't think it's going to be a bashing speech. I think it's going to be very surprising.
yeah,
One of Trump, there's two speeches that really stand out to me with Trump outside of State of the Union addresses. But when he was at Mount Rushmore was a phenomenal speech, and also in front of the United Nations. Those were phenomenal speeches. I think this speech, it's time that America needs to be united. Um, on both sides, we just have to come together and realize, listen, use the Constitution as our basis, and we can agree to disagree, but as long as we're being constitutional about it, none of this DEI, none of this, cultural bullshit, wokeness, and Marxism. That's what we have to cut out of our countries. That's going to destroy the republic. That's a cancer, like the example I gave you yesterday. The Marxism in this country has to be cut out. People like Brandon Donch in Chicago need to be, taken out of their positions in Chicago. Um, what do you call it? Letitia James, Governor Hochul. You got what's his name? The Manhattan DA. These people are a poison to our country. They're Soros backed, and it's just like it's time for America to return to America, founding fathers, the type of spirit that we had to build this nation. Look at the stock market today. The stock market's up 575 points today. The Dow. It's insane what it's at. So, kind of what we touched upon yesterday. They're anticipating Trump being elected, the regulations being knocked down, and tax cuts happening, bringing manufacturing back to America. China's hurting right now tremendously. Their numbers came out on jobs and manufacturing. So I don't want to get into that and take away from what we're saying, but the future is going to look very bright. That's what it looks like.
I mean, I think let's get together on Friday to talk about how Thursday goes and
Most
get some
definitely. And
feedback.
you know what? And people, if you got time between now and then, check out, like I said, the PayPal Mafia. It's a documentary on YouTube. You'll find it. It's worth watching, because you'll see these guys like back in the 90s, but when they were kids, pretty much young guys in their 20s, and now they're the rich and powerful guys of the United States. That's what you're looking at. Listen, hopefully we're giving you creative knowledge, and thumbs up. Join our tribe if you haven't, and spread the word about our tribe. You guys have a great day. Take care.
Everyone.